Have you ever asked yourself, what would it be like to have times with the Kool-Aid Man?
Oh my.
Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. So I kind of missed doing these reading wrap-up videos, so I'm bringing it back.
Surprise, mother.
For today's video, I'm doing my reading wrap-up for the month of September, largely because I read an obnoxious number of books for me personally for the month of September, and I want to gab about books for a little bit, so like, grab a drink. My drink of the day is Sparkling Ice's Strawberry Starburst flavor. It's delicious. If you enjoy hearing me yap about books, don't forget to give this video a big ol' like. I fully acknowledge that since I don't do a lot of book content, this video is probably gonna bomb a little bit. So like, all of the extra help and engagement would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I am gonna go from the least outrageous thing that I read to the most outrageous thing that I read. If you are new to my nonsense, hello, I am Nicole. I like reading, well, nonsense. I'm gonna give you all a content warning right now. If you've got little Timmies within earshot, put on some headphones. Some of these books are a little risque. So if you've watched some of my past non-nail polish videos, you would know that the past few months I have been doing things to kind of get out of my comfort zone. Exit this room here. Like, I'm always in this room. I wanted to leave the room, so I left the room. One of the book clubs that I am in is a romantasy book club. We're currently reading This Woven Kingdom by Tahare Mafi. I am for sure pronouncing that wrong. I am so sorry. I can barely speak English, just to be clear. I have thoroughly been enjoying this series. I actually read books 2 and 3 in that series this month. If you have not yet read any of the books in This Woven Kingdom, my quick non-spoilery synopsis of it: you have a young lady named Eliza. In this world, you have like 2 species of people. You have Jinn, and then you have people called Clay. Clay people are basically just like regular schmegular humans, and the Jinn have kind of like enhanced abilities, like they're stronger, faster. They don't seem to need to eat food as much as like the Clay people do, and they also can talk to fireflies. I don't get it either, but like that's the thing. So you have this character Eliza, who basically is like this prophesized queen of the Jinn people, but she's currently in hiding and she's working as a maid. And Eliza just goes through so very much in the first book. I kid you not, I just finished book 3 like last week. I finished book 3, and I was talking to one of my book club friends. Books 1 through 3, only like 2 or 3 days take place in all this. Like there's this like hundreds upon hundreds of pages that take place in a very short amount of time. And she just keeps having the worst day ever. Over and over and over again. She kind of stumbles across the kingdom's prince, and he's like automatically like in love with that girl. And she's just kind of just like, yeah, no, thank you. It's a really, really interesting tale. Even though we're reading it for our romantasy book club, I will say after reading books 1 through 3, the romance level is very, very, very low. This is very strongly, in my opinion, like fantasy with a romance subplot, and that subplot is very, very sub. Like, there's a couple of moments in book 1 that are like a little bit like, ooh, what you guys gonna do?
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
And then it comes to nothing. There is no shebang in any of the first 3 books. By the time this video goes up, book 4 will in fact be out. So I'll just say book 4 is out currently right now. We're gonna be reading book 4 for the October book of the month for the book club. I have rated all 3 books in this series between 5 and 4.5 stars. It's a really, really good series. Tahare Mafi, I really enjoy the way the author writes things. I actually recently just purchased their Shatter Me series. So there are 6 books total in the Shatter Me series. After I bought all 6 books, I then found out that there's like also 6 novellas.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I really need places that sell ebooks and just books in general. If there's gonna be novellas in a book series, put the frickin' novellas in the list of the series. Like, don't list them separately. So yeah, I found out when I was adding things to Goodreads that there were in fact novellas to that series, and yes, I was very upset because I got the whole series for 99 cents per ebook, and then I found out about the novellas, and the novellas were like $11, which I feel like the concept of an $11 ebook is kind of crazy, and an $11 novella is even worse in my opinion, but Nobody asked me. Highly recommend this Woven Kingdom. It's a really, really fun series. I didn't want to get too deep into it because I didn't want to give any spoilers, but like it's a really, really good series. But don't read it if you want like a strong romance story. It's not. It's very much like a person like coming into who they are, accepting their responsibility, dodging assassination attempts and kidnappings. You kind of fall in love with like the main characters as well as the side characters. The author just writes characters so freaking well. It's such an enjoyable book. Characters who like in book one you think are going to be throwaway characters actually aren't throwaway characters. One of the things in book one, which is called This Woven Kingdom, one of the funny things that I found in book club is that like there is this poem that gets told in the book. And I'm the kind of reader where like I will read the poem, but I'm not going to try to think too deeply on what the poem could potentially mean. In my opinion, like if it's important, it's going to come back later on in the story. If it's not important, I didn't need to memorize it anyway. And I just found it so funny how the number of people in the book club who they were really just like going detective on that poem. And I heard it, I was like, that's something. Continue on. I didn't think twice about it, and it did end up coming back later in the book. But again, you didn't need to memorize it. The next book that I read for the month of September that was also a book club book was Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond. This was actually one of my like highly anticipated reads for the year. I keep forgetting I've got prop. I apparently did not put the hardcover back in the dust jacket yet. Yeah, so Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond. I would describe this one as like an alternate history kind of horror series. Not series, well, it's going to be a series, but currently it's just one book. The quickest way to describe this is what would have happened if some of the enslaved Africans here in America actually became vampires. What would happen? And I thought that concept was so freaking fascinating. If you've watched my past book anything, you know I read a lot of romance. When I joined a whole bunch of book clubs, I decided I also wanted to join book clubs that weren't just strictly romance. So just try to get me to read more things besides just romance. So this particular book, we read it from the horror book club that I'm in, and it was 5 stars, amazing. I will say the first few chapters of the book that's kind of like setting the mood and just the atmosphere is rough. I mean, it's people being enslaved. Like, it's not good. It was really rough. The author did a fantastic job at really setting the mood. The book opens up with a character named Willie who was taken from Africa as a slave to be brought to the United States. And obviously, he's not having a good time. Willie from the start has such a strong personality, whereas some of the other slaves that we get introduced to are kind of resigned to like, this is the life that they're gonna have to lead. Willie is very much in the like, hell no, I'm not going to stay here, I'm leaving. And so the book opens up with Willie trying to escape. Unfortunately, it does not work for Willie. So Willie ends up meeting another enslaved African who also is a vampire. And I know someone's going to say, if they're a vampire, how are they enslaved? The book explains it. And the book explains it in such a good way. I highly feel that Blood Slaves is going to be in like my top 10 favorite books that I've read for the entire year. And I think I'm currently at book like 62, 63 of books that I read this year. This is definitely like top 10 books for me. It's such a good book. Even if you're not a super strong horror genre reader, I don't feel that this is the kind of horror book. It doesn't try to be gory for the sake of being gory. I feel like all of the violence serves a purpose, and it's just a really, really, really good book. My only complaint is that the end of the book, it felt kind of rushed. It felt as if like the book was supposed to be longer, and then the author decided, oh wait, I'm gonna put a book 2. Like, I feel like the last 2 chapters felt very boom, 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 boom. And I found out after I finished reading the book that there is in fact going to be a book 2 for this one. So like, I kind of get it. And so I'm glad there will be a second book because I would love to know what happens more to all the characters. So this book takes place in 1710 America. So, you know, slavery is like popping here. It was definitely hard to read the aspects with slavery, but unfortunately that really is how things were. So I appreciate that the author didn't sugarcoat anything, because unfortunately we have people trying to pretend that slavery didn't really happen and that people wanted to be slaves. So
thanks, I hate it.
that was the only heavy book that I read this month, so it's gonna be fun times from here on out. I'm gonna now say from here on out, definitely headphones if you have children within earshot.
So y'all need to hide your kids.
All right, that was your warning. I need y'all to not judge me right now, okay? This is a no judgment zone. You clicked on this video. I didn't force you. You clicked on it, so no judgments. The next book that I read is a little ditty called Sentenced to the Tentacle Chair.
What?
And the author of that is Sibley Stamps. See, I have this problem where I will read things that sound absolutely absurd just because, like, it sounds absolutely absurd, and that's how I came to read Sentenced to the Tentacle Chair. We have Talia, who is living a life of intergalactic crime. And for whatever reason, in this world, when you are a criminal, you can decide what type of punishments you get. And Talia here decided that live streaming their being sentenced to the tentacle chair was a better option than having relations with the prison warden. There also was an option to just serve several years of time, but instead Talia decided to just get strapped to a chair and be pleasured by tentacles.
What?
Yeah, you see, it's completely outrageous. This book was like 20-ish pages, and I feel like anything longer than 20-ish pages would have been too much. And so the fact that this was 20 pages and I could just boom, boom, boom through it really, really quickly was largely the reason why I decided to read this. It was absolutely ridiculous. Nothing made any sense. I'm sure somebody smarter than me can say that this was like a introspective something or another about how we treat criminals in our society and yada, yada, yada. That's not what I do. I just... Tentacles. Tentacles. Also, I just looked up to see what Talia's crimes were because I couldn't remember. So 2 counts of space piracy and 1 count of space station security impersonation. And she got sentenced 24 hours to be pleasured, violated by tentacles on a chair. And for whatever reason, this gets live streamed across the galaxy. So I gave Sentenced to the Tentacle Chair 3 stars. I wouldn't describe it as like a good reading time. I was very entertained and I thought it was really funny, but like it didn't make any sense, so I can't give it a higher rating than 3 stars because it didn't make sense, but I didn't read it to make sense. I read it because it was ridiculous. Next up is a series that I started a few years ago and I just started picking it back up again, and that is Planet Barbarians. I feel like if you are a reader, chances are probably high that you have at least heard of someone talking about Planet Barbarians. Are you sure about that? Internet travels. Planet Barbarians is a 30+ book series featuring a group of human women who end up stranded on an ice planet with barbarians. So I read books 1 through 3 like several years ago, and one thing that happens for all of these books is that there's a bit of a breeding on the author's part, where basically these human women, basically everyone ends up pregnant eventually. So to explain how I got to books 4 through 7 this month, for book 1, you basically have a bunch of human women that get kidnapped from Earth by like the gray aliens, this style of alien here. And it's not fun times. They're basically treated like worse than cattle. And they crash land onto this planet. The gray aliens leave them abandoned. The human women, as a joke, decided to call the planet Not Hall, like in Star Wars. There's a lot of like really contemporary references because this is very like millennials trapped in space. The series is like potato chips. The books themselves are not terribly long. I've been doing the audiobooks for the main books, and then I've been reading on Kindle for the novellas. For like the main books, they're like between 5 to 8 hours per audiobook. And one thing that I've been really enjoying about this series, I find for some authors, when they write a book series where each book is a different character pairing, that sometimes you don't actually feel like you're reading about different characters for every single book. It's very kind of samesies, and I don't like that. For Planet Barbarians, again, I'm on book 8 currently. I am finding that for each book, both the MMC and the FMC feel like different people from the last one, and so the challenges that each couple faces are different for all of them. It's really, really, really cool. There's also a lot of diversity as far as characters go. You have characters, you have book 7 featured a deaf character. There was a character who had a brain tumor. There's just a lot of differences between all of the women as well as all of the men as well. And obviously language is in fact a barrier, and they do figure that out. This is very like sci-fi, romancy, and like also kind of like goofy at the same time. These books are like really enjoyable, and I feel like if you're not into monster romance, you're gonna heavily question why you want to read a romance book featuring a 7-foot tall blue alien with horns, a tail, and a little vibrating nubbin over his
Oh my.
But hear me out. It's really fun. It's a really fun series. And even though it's called Ice Planet Barbarians, the men are not like, me man, you woman, bonk over the head. That's, although there is one young lady who does get bonked over the head and kidnapped, but that was a fluke. I have actually been getting the audiobooks for the series through my local library. I currently maxed out the number of holds that I have for the month of September, so I'm just kind of waiting for September to end so I can continue the series. This ended up not being true. I ended up using credits on both Libro.fm and on Audible to get more books in the series. The final book that I read for the month of September is probably the weirdest.
Hold on to your butts.
Have you ever asked yourself, what would it be like to have times with the Kool-Aid Man? Neither have I. But somebody apparently did, and I read a romance novel about it. I read Cold Sweat this week. It was just as weird as I was expecting it to be. So when I had originally come across this one, I'm in like 1,000 book groups, and someone read this in one of the book groups that I'm in. I saw the picture of the thing, and I was like, what in the hell? And so, you know, I immediately have to go look to see what it's about because that's the kind of person that I am. When I initially had downloaded this on Kindle Unlimited, I had thought that like the most out-of-pocket part about this book was going to be that there was a human being having relations with something that looks like the Kool-Aid Man. That wasn't the weirdest part. Surprisingly, that was not the weirdest part. I didn't realize this until I posted this in my Discord server, and I posted the cover of the book as well as like the whole description of the book. I didn't read the description. I scrolled past all of that and saw that, you know, the content warning about, you know, the shebang with the Kool-Aid Man, and I was already sold. I didn't need any other information besides that. Somebody in my Discord read it, and there was like, yeah, why are they step siblings? You know what? The number of times I accidentally decide to read something that has, soft incest? I don't know what the term is, honestly. Questionable relations between siblings?
Why?
I think this is like book 3, and I feel like that's 3 too many, honestly. It's not my thing. As is the rules. I don't kink shame. I will kink question, but I will not kink shame. What the hell? In the book, he is not called the Kool-Aid Man. He's called the Chill Assist. So apparently his dad, and I quote, "Red was the result of Dan's torrid affair with a pallet of drink powder at a drunken office Christmas party."
Why?
I don't know if that was like an MPreg situation on the dad's part, or if the drink powder pallet, I don't know. It was not explained in the book. Honestly, I don't think I want an explanation. I feel like with how absolutely bonkers this book is, I would definitely believe that the father had an MPreg situation and he got impregnated by the powder mix. But like, again, this book isn't about making sense, first of all. This is not the book to make sense. I'm not going to try to make sense of anything. And so basically we have this young lady who, home from college, her mom and her stepdad go out, and she's chilling at home with her Chill Assist brother, aka Kool-Aid Man. She's cold, so she decides she's gonna go into the new sauna that her stepdad got for her mom. She gets locked in with her stepbrother, and they decide that they're gonna, you know, quench their thirsts, I suppose, for each other. This is another one that was very short. I think it took me like a total of like 25-30 minutes to read the whole thing. So once again, absolutely bonkers to read. 1000% only read it because it was so short. And honestly, it was actually really entertaining. I laughed for the majority of this. It was really, really funny. I think the weirdest part about it all is that he apparently, so he is like a glass jug of liquid. He is a glass jug of liquid, ice cubes and all, and his whole body is made out of glass. But I had thought that, like, you know, oop, he tips over and, like, you know, he did, because all of his drink is gone. Apparently, no, he can, in fact, his whole jug can, in fact, get emptied and he will survive, but it is uncomfortable. He also apparently can projectile his chill assist aid through his various appendages, and all of the liquids his body produces does in fact taste like cherry chill assist. Yeah. And in case anyone was wondering, Cold Sweat got a 4.5 stars out of me. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. It was really, really, really funny. Listen, it was a fun time. I was thoroughly amused.
Sure, Jan.
So in case anyone was wondering, the book that I'm currently reading that I don't think I'm going to finish by the end of the month, that is going to be Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. I am sure everyone and their grandmama has seen this. This is a very much anticipated book for a lot of people. I am one of those people. I had this bad boy pre-ordered. No, I don't have the one with the sprayed edges because I didn't want to mess with tariffs and duties and all that. I just got this one from Barnes & Noble. So for this particular book, you have a young lady named Helena. I'm literally on chapter 2. Okay, so from what I can gather, she lives in this world where like alchemists and necromancers exist, and unfortunately she is on the side of the losing team, and she is in captivity basically by, you know, the alchemists and the necromancers that won. The book opens up basically with her coming out of like a stasis thing, and she does not know what the hell is going on. This is going to be a super, super heavy read. And that's why I was kind of reading a lot of like fun, goofy things the past couple of weeks, because I knew that I was going to read this and be emotionally devastated. So yeah, all of her friends are dead. She's all by herself in enemy territory, and I cannot wait to be devastated by this book. I'm going to be dodging spoilers like a champ though, because I feel like I follow so many people who are currently reading this. I know a couple of my mutuals on my book tracking websites are also reading this. So like, I swear to God, if y'all spoil me, I'm gonna smack you with it, because this book is a beast. That is girthy. I will smack the shit out of anyone who spoils this for me. If you want to keep up with all the things that I am currently reading outside of me doing these videos, I do have a Goodreads, a Fable, and a Storygraph. I have all three linked in the description box. Give me a follow. I follow everyone back on there, by the way, because like I just like getting book recommendations. So I would love to know what everyone else is currently reading. What did you read for the month of September that was your absolute favorite? If you aren't a reader, get a library card. September is also National Library Card Month, so if you don't have a library card already, make sure to get one. If you made it to this far in the video, don't forget to give it a big old like and comment, please. Like, this is gonna bomb in the algorithm pretty bad. But like, I had fun. So like, that's what matters, honestly. Before we end today's video, I wanna give a very special shout out to my channel members. Shenanigang Stormy fans, your name, of course, all on the screen all on the screen right now. Jeez Louise. A lot of yapping today. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, there's a link for that in the description box. Click join and subscribe button. You all know the drill. If you like listening to me yap, don't forget to follow me across all of my other social media. I am everywhere at this point. So just thank you all for joining for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely week, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Also, since we're here at the end, do you guys want a wrap up for my nail stuff for September? Let me know. Bye!